Independent presidential candidate Cornel West weighed in on his competitor's running mate, saying Senator J.D. Vance sold his soul to former President Trump, and Governor Tim Walz is a decent man in a party that is corrupt. Vance has seemed to sell his soul to be subordinate to Trump's lies and his crimes, West said on News Nation Saturday. Vance is much more intellectually sophisticated than Brother Trump, but it's sad to see him give up on his claims of integrity and honesty and to find himself an extension of Trump's mendacity and Trump's criminality. West was referring to the criticism that's been thrown Vance's way since he was named as Trump's VP pick. In the past, Vance said he was a never Trump guy and compared to former President Adolf Hitler. Trump has come out in defense of his former running mate, saying Vance didn't know me, but now that they know one another, he liked me maybe more than anybody liked me. As for Vice President Harris's running mate, West said he thinks Walz is a very decent man in a corrupt party. Walz was chosen as Harris's vice presidential pick earlier this week, and the two have been campaigning in several swing states since. In just a few weeks after President Biden bowed out of the presidential race, Harris has broken donation records, generated excitement for voters at huge rallies, and cut down on Trump's lead in the polls. And now he's got to somehow deal with the wickedness in high places like any other elected official, West said of Walz. And we'll see. They've been able to generate a tremendous amount of excitement, and it's a beautiful thing to see people expressing a certain kind of joy. West, who is running a long shot campaign, said he believes people are excited about Harris's run for office because it's a desperation. Because it's desperation. Well, I guess that we should break this down in chronological order. I should say West has pretty good political instincts. He was the person who said Biden might not make it to 2024, and that was back in, I think, December, just several weeks back. We ended up getting exactly what he thought would occur. Where he says that Vance sold his soul, I can agree with that. I think about all the people that Trump could have had as his running mates. Tucker Carlson, I know was someone that reportedly was really liked by Melania. Any member of that group of female politicians that we thought Trump would pick, right, to counter Biden having a woman as his VP. So, whether you're talking about MTG or Carrie Lake or Kristi Noem, Megyn Kelly at one point thought Katie Britt. There's a whole bunch of people you could have picked. But, you could go through most of those people. And with the exception of maybe Stefanik, there's no one who had said something so horrendous about him besides Vance. I could never understand how, even if you supposedly had a change of opinion, whatever, I couldn't imagine saying that about somebody and then deciding to run as their VP other than just having a sick desire for some power. Because why else would you pick going along with their ticket, this person that you compare to the historical figure from the 20th century that's most associated with evil and wickedness? It doesn't make any sense other than just pure political calculation. So I do think West is correct when he says that Vance sold his soul. He's trying to get some power. Pretty young guy. He doesn't feel like he can wait until 2028 or 32 or whatever. So he's like, all right, well, I'll just see if I can hitch a ride with Trump to the White House. If not, I can try again, in a few years, presumably after he's done running for the final time. His commentary on Walz is interesting because anytime you see West compliment a Democrat, it's really high praise because he's not someone who just praises Democrats. He's someone who, for example, called Obama, I think it was Wall Street in black or something like that. Just he really assailed him to where Obama won't even, just had nothing to do with him after that. After becoming president, just would not be anywhere near him. So when West praises a Democrat, it's a pretty big deal. And he's right. Walz is someone who is seen as being from the progressive wing of the party, or certainly more progressive than a lot of other people that Harris could have picked for VP. And if he's able to get elected as vice president, he's going to probably be finding himself irritated with some of the more right-wing impulses, not only of Harris, but of a lot of members of his party. People who are going to push her to back Israel, even more, and fund Ukraine forever and ever, and invade this country. It's going to be an interesting period if the Harris-Walz ticket is actually able to make it to the White House. And to close out with what Wes said about how nice it is to see people having some joy, right? And to then, but also like the belief he has that it's probably desperation. I can completely believe that because a lot of us who saw Biden's horrendous debate performance had a collective groan because we were like, "Oh man, it looks like this is it, right? We're going to be stuck with this old man who we're afraid won't be able to either debate Trump or, look like someone who can serve out another 4 years realistically." And now that he's out of the way, not because he wanted to get out of the way, because the Democrats had to like keep pushing him to like, Joe, step down, Joe, get out. We're certainly more inclined to be tuned in and excited to see what happens next. And that's why people are giving money and donating and expressing all their excitement, in this way or the other. But he's correct that is something that was caused by Biden's withdrawal. It certainly listen, Harris is not, as far as anyone can gauge, some extremely popular politician who people are just dying to have as their president, right? There are people that come around every couple of years that there is a tangible group of individuals who want them as president. Even if I didn't like Hillary all that much at all, right? Or Trump, there were people in both the Democratic and Republican primaries that voted for them. Go even further back with Obama, to a lesser degree with Sanders in 2016, 2020. Harris is someone who dropped out very early before any voting took place in 2020, and that's something that gets brought up by her opponents, her detractors in both parties. But they're underestimating how much people just don't want Trump. So even if she is someone that progressives are worried, will go back to being the jailing parents of truancy-induced kids, or using prisoners for cheap labor in California. Even if they're afraid, she'll go back to that same old Harris that we had as Attorney General, several years ago. They still don't. They would rather take their chances with her than risk Trump getting another 4 years. So I think he's right about the desperation. There is some legitimate excitement because there are some people that like her. And of course, Walz being on the ticket did give her a boost, I think, with people, with progressives who otherwise would just be like, yeah, forget this, I'm sitting this one out. But no, it's interesting to see West give his commentary on both running mates, because he doesn't really criticize Vance in terms of, oh, Vance is stupid, right? He doesn't say that. He goes, Vance is actually probably smarter than Trump, but the desire to have power causes him to just say, you know what, I may have said these horrible things about this man years ago, but now I've suddenly reformed and I've changed. When in reality, the only thing that's changed is that he wants some more power, thinks he'll get it faster if he attaches himself to Trump. And Walz is someone who I see a lot of good in, West sees a lot of good in, but it's going to be real fascinating to see what kind of pitfalls await him if he's able to become VP.